Do you like basketball? Basketball 농구? I like, but I'm not good at. Yes, I'm not.
Me too.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the State of the League podcast. My name is Jack, aka Jokic Joestar. With me, as always, the world famous Pablo Escobar. We're the only NBA podcast with a Patreon, because this is a Patreon episode. So we're the only NBA podcast that gives our patrons like real content that we would put out on like the main channel otherwise.
We're the only podcast on Patreon.
Holy shit, is that true? What else is on there?
I don't know.
It's
I
like
haven't seen
mostly it's us. It's 90,000 artists drawing furry porn, making like $300,000 a year each. And then it's like a couple of like writers and stuff who put out like articles.
That would be such a good job if you're into art and you're just a horny person, just doing furry art for people and making that money. That'd be a blast. The real money makers on Patreon are the Assetto Corsa mod makers, that racing game. That they're all up in the top 10.
We've broken this down. We've broken down the top 10 before. Shout out to them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just saw something a while back. It was a TikTok where it was like an art teacher in college, and they were like, "This is some of the most flawless animation I've ever seen. Like, this is incredible. You're doing like this is work that like blows away every other student in the class, maybe every other student I've even ever taught." It's just the content is always like this giant ripped tiger picking up this tiny, like, just like they're making objectively good like quality stuff, but it's always just super horny shit, I guess. And so the implication there being that they're probably making the porn and making hundreds of thousands of dollars.
It's like how we get all our like big technology innovations for consumer products are like hand-me-downs from the military. From they tried to use it to kill people, but then they're like, oh, I guess people could have it, like the internet and everything.
They're like, yeah, we tried to blow up someone's head, but it just made these headphones connect to my computer without wires, so you guys can have this, I guess. That's harmless.
You could order pizza with this. That's okay, I guess.
That's fine. That's fine. Today we're breaking down the top 10 wings. We got a comment in
number one drumstick.
Holy shit, that was too loud. Keep the mic away from number one drumstick. All right, so I'm gonna write down 3 minutes timestamp. I'll give you guys a little ear. I'll lessen the pain on your folks' ears. So we got a comment on the last YouTube video asking for us to do a joint criteria to make our lists a little more consistent. I don't even remember what the criteria I texted you was. It was like to differentiate wings and bigs. Wings are more switchable on both ends of the floor. They're going to be playing like a variety of roles offensively. And they're going to be
what you wrote to me if you want.
Yeah. Knock it out. Let me see.
You said we're breaking it down mostly off play style with a height and weight cutoff for centers. So this is how we're keeping some centers out of the list. So playing a more physical style on offense and playing a rim protection role on defense makes you a big, where a wing is more versatile on both ends. Attack mismatches when smaller guys. And then on defense, they can help protect the rim, but that's not their primary job. Height cutoff, 7 feet, 250.
Yeah. And that was, spoiler alert, everyone, that was just to, like, Karl Anthony Towns is a big. And I guess in New York, he would just be, like, clearly he's a big. But if he was still in Minnesota, we would get some people, well, he fits the wing criteria that you guys laid out. So, yeah. But I'm excited. Because the wings is fun. Wings, like we could do our honorable mentions right now because there's so many good wings that like there was names I'm like these guys have to be top 10, and it's like no, there's just like 10 straight up like pretty much star players at the wing position right now. My honorable mentions I wrote down Herb Jones, OG Anunoby, and Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, I had them in there. I had like 20 honorable mentions there who didn't really deserve to be in the top 10, but they're just really good players.
I know, yeah. Like it's like you get far enough down and you're like, well, this is clearly not a top 10 player, but like they are more talented than like the 8th best shooting guard or whatever.
Yeah, like Brandon Ingram is good, OG is good, Cade is good. There's so many good guys.
Yeah. Oh, I guess were you looking at Cade for wing?
Yeah,
Okay.
but that's just a leftover.
That's
Well,
just
and I should just to be consistent. Obviously, my number one wing is Luka. We don't have to talk about him though.
oh my god. Okay. Thank God. Thank God, really. Cuz that's good, I guess. So I'll lead with my number one then cuz I have a real number one here. I'm torn on this because for as good as the wing position is, it feels like there's two camps you could use to decide who the best wing in the league is, and I'm using kind of the dorky nerd loser one, which is expanded. I'm looking at the whole season. The regular season matters to me here. Like I care about being good and sustaining a high level of play and being able to like I don't know, uplift your team, durability, all that shit. I have Tatum as my number one wing in the league. How do you feel about that?
I'm lower because like same thing. Like just thinking about for the totality of this season, I was thinking like if it's just for this year in a vacuum, and like if I could swap these guys out with Tatum on the Celtics, would I want to do that, or would I want to sit back with Tatum? And so based on that criteria, I'm a little lower on Tatum. Maybe it'll get hate. Maybe it's prisoner of the moment, but we'll see. We'll see.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty high on Tatum. I did the same thing I've done for everybody. Big questions for all of them. My big question for Tatum is that jump shot coming back, big fella. Because if it's not, that's tough. Then like when we get into the conversations around number 2 and number 3 on this list, it's like razor thin margins. I think if he comes back to where he was as a jump shooter and then retains all of like the really good things he did this postseason in terms of like stepping in to anchor a defense. That's when I wrote down that rim protection point. I was like, damn, Tatum was like a great rim protector for the Celtics in this postseason. And so like I would never argue him as a big, but he did that job better than like a lot of centers have done when they've been asked to step up by their teams. He was incredible at that. He's a really good like free safety defender. Pretty much everything on team defense, he's spectacular. And then on the ball, he's not like one of my go-to guys in the league, but he's well above average in that facet. He was a really good playmaker, really the foundation of a Boston offense that like I won't say he was the reason it was the greatest offense of all time. That's ridiculous. It was a very balanced approach, the way we've talked about all year. But he was the engine that kept it all going through his like penetration, his ability to get to the rim, and his ability to like kick out to shooters and everything. So I'm super high on him. The only other thing I wrote down is like, has any successful like title run ever fucked with a player's like ranking or image or just like the idea of them in fans' minds as much as Tatum did with Boston this year? Because it feels like they win the title and everyone just collectively was like, yeah, they won as a team, but how much of that was Tatum?
There have probably been other guys who deserved to have that treatment where like they didn't actually perform that well, but their team still won the finals but they were cooler. So people liked them and they were like, no, they won. Like, well, like we saw with Anthony Edwards in the series after Denver. Who did they play after Denver?
Dallas.
So they lost, but
he was kind of like he wasn't. I mean, going against Dallas very different than going against fucking Denver and Phoenix. I saw someone on Twitter call him a bad rim protection merchant because like pretty much everyone up until
Anthony
Dallas,
Edwards.
yeah, for like his whole playoff career, he was facing like ass rim protectors. None of the, I guess Jaren Jackson Jr. in the Memphis series, but I mean Nurkic dog shit, Jokic not good. And I think there was like one or two from the previous season as well thrown in there. And then he goes against Lively, and it's difficult. But I won't say like he probably deserved a little more criticism, but the aura, you're right, it was just too much. Like people were too caught up in how sick it was.
Like I can't, but like he would have these stinker games, and then people would be like, "Gobert and Towns are letting him down." And it's like, okay, all right, I guess. But no, I wouldn't give him the bad rim protector merchant title just because when he was wrecking, it was not by attacking the rim; it was just making every single jump shot. So he was cooling. But yeah, Tatum, fantastic wing. Feels like he's supposed to be in this spot. But the vibes are just off, and so I have to respect the vibes.
Hey, well, we were the reverse because my entire first two lists were vibes based, and you were going, he doesn't guard enough point guards, and so now we're flipped where I'm like I'm really locking this shit in, and you're vibing over there.
Well, the stats are on my side on at this current moment. Right now, Tatum is low. Like how we always talk about like Trae Young versus Halliburton arguments. Like Halliburton, you're up right now. Like Tatum fans, you're down right now. You can't deny it. So yeah, he's had stretches in the past where he's been a really, really high level scorer. This playoffs, it was a little.
It was not.
It was not consistent. It was clunky. It was inefficient a lot, but they still got the job done. So you got to think, hey, I guess you could look at that one of two ways. Like he did what he had to do to win, didn't matter. Still, that proves his impact. Or the team's so talented they can win even when he's trash or whatever. But yeah, either way, Tatum is a high level shot creating wing who's gotten better as a passer over the years and is a really high level defensive player on and off the ball. And yeah, he's a really good wing.
Yeah. The vibes are fucked. I will say that. Like it didn't feel great to put him there, but I put him there nonetheless.
Hey, he got benched on the Olympics for a reason.
I guess it's because they had so many good wings on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And Kevin Durant, nobody remembers that he was fucking 0 for 9 until he hit that and 1-3 because Jokic threw Anthony Davis into him. No one remembers because they played a perfect fourth quarter. Don't. Yeah, I've got fucking amnesia about it. But it's not. I mean, for me to criticize Kevin Durant's like jump shooting and then be like, they should have had Tatum in there. Yeah, that's not super fair. Absolutely.
Like 0 for 16 up to that point.
0 for 16 coming off like, I mean, what did he shoot in the playoffs? Let me pull this up real quick. Just like from 3, I wonder. I would wager it was like 28%. Like it was really horrific for a guy. So he was 37.6% from 3 on 8 attempts per game in the regular season last year. Yeah, that drops to 28% on 7.3 attempts per game while shooting 43% from the field. So I agree with you. There are like two ways to look at it. I lean more towards like the impact outside of scoring as a testament to how good he is. And I am banking on his jump shot returning for this prediction to be true. If that's just like the reality of what he is as a jump shooter for the rest of his career, which small sample size, I would be really shocked if that happened. But if that was the case, yeah, this ranking would probably not be right by the end of the year. But I'm banking on it coming back. So that's number 2 for you. You have Luka 1. Congratulations. Who's your third?
Well, no. My number 2 is LeBron.
Oh, my fault. All right, yeah, I have LeBron 2. You have him 2 as well. So we're tied. We're tied with LeBron, I guess. You want to give the speech?
LeBron is still so good.
He's
I think
so good.
I think he has spent his entire career being better than Jayson Tatum. I don't know if there's ever been a year. Well, I suppose in the regular season you could definitely argue that Tatum might bring more value, just because LeBron is definitely not that consistently impactful on the defensive end these days. But he's still good when he does play defense. He's obviously just the smartest player in the NBA. He's one of the best passers ever, and then his jump shot works now like better than it ever has. I had his stats pulled up. Let's see what he is from three. He shot 39% from three this year, or this past year. Oh wait, that's only in the playoffs.
Yeah, he shot 41. I'm pretty sure this year. It was like it's legitimately crazy.
Yeah,
Like
it was
whatever the number is.
41% on 5 attempts a game. And then in his playoff series this year, 5 games, he averaged 28 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds on, let's see, 64% true shooting. So even in their playoff series, he was wrecking everybody. He's just still he's not top tier physical LeBron. Still, LeBron coming down off the mountaintop is like coming down off of Mount Everest. He's still higher up than everybody else. When he wants to attack the rim, he's still an elite finisher, slasher, elite passer. The shooting is working. He knows every play that every team is going to call. If like just straight up, if I could go into a final series with him as my best player or Tatum as my best player, I'm still choosing him. So I'm going LeBron.
I agree with that statement you just said. That's what I was like. There's 2 criteria here. I would say like if I could have either of these guys for like 30 games, I would choose LeBron. It's just like the matter of the entirety of the regular season and like a full postseason run after that. Where even in the Denver series, where I agree he looked really good, he was incredible. I would say Aaron Gordon is one of like the short list guys you would probably pick to be able to throw at him as like an individual defender, just in terms of like strength and like mobility to stay with them. Obviously Denver doesn't have like the great back line to really back up that isolation defense, but yeah, I think he looked incredible versus LA. It's just or versus Denver. But like the whole thing with LeBron for years at this point has been like we don't give a shit where the Lakers finish as long as you get LeBron into a scenario where he can like go buff all might 100% effort and like be the best player in the playoff series. I think a good example of that is like the Grizzlies series from a couple years back, and the Warriors series that same year, really. Where like he got into the Grizzlies had been the better team all year and they got matched up with LeBron. And admittedly, Ja's hand was inside out on that fall, but LeBron still turned it on and he was incredible. However, now, like getting to that point where he can be 100% and like give it all that he's got, he could only do that for like the first half of game 5, it felt like, in Denver. And then in the second half, he was completely fucking gassed. And it did not feel like he was like activating that level in the rest of the series prior to that. And some of that boils down to like he didn't know Jamal Murray was going to hit 2 of those game winners. So like maybe he is 110% instead of like 80% effort in those games. But yeah, it really felt like he tried to take over in game 5, and he did in the first half. It's just like his age and all of that was clearly showing in the second half. And so that's in the first round. I'm not sure what would happen if you asked him to do that for like 3 straight rounds after playing. I mean, he played 71 games last year. That's a lot of games. I don't know if he'll do that again this year, but yeah, I just don't know how consistently you can ask him to like dip into that bag at this point.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. With him, I'm always skeptical. I'm always worried that everything is on purpose. So I'm like, is he tired or is he just giving up?
He's like Oda. It's all orchestrated.
Yeah. I'm like, is he just giving up because he knows this team is not actually good, and so he's preserving himself for next year? Yeah, he's like, it's hard with him because he tricks our caveman brains. Like, this is LeBron James still putting up 27, whatever. Like, this got to be the same guy. And then we see him at the Olympics, and he's still the leader of the team or whatever. But still, I think he is just actually still that good. And if anybody wants to put Tatum over him just for like sheer dependability night to night, I understand that. But in terms of peak performance, I think he's still better at his best.
Yeah, agreed. I agree with that. And I would probably say that's true for my number 3. Even though I have, so who do you have at 3?
Kevin Durant?
Same. So
Same
yeah,
criteria basically for why I would have him over Tatum right now.
and same thing for me. In terms of like the apex of what Kevin Durant is, holy shit. It's it's unfair that like LeBron is doing all of this like 3 years older at the same time, because if he wasn't, we would be freaking like we already are freaking out about Kevin Durant's longevity, but it's truly,
And he's post Achilles.
yeah, it's insane how good he is. Just like purely offensively and purely as a jump shooter. So last season, he shot 51.8% on 6.5 mid range field goal attempts per game. That was the 3rd highest volume in the league, and nobody else shooting more than 4 attempts even hit the 50% mark. In the playoffs, he shot 53% on 7.5 attempts. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was the only person even in the ballpark of that in terms of like volume and efficiency. He shot 44% on 3.6 catch and shoot 3-point attempts. And yeah, I mean, he's just otherworldly as an off-ball scorer at this point in his career. And when he gets to his angles downhill, still finishes them incredibly well. He was like damn near 70% at the rim this year on very low volume, or not at the rim. It's whatever NBA.com's like zone grouping is. So within 5 feet, he was nearly 70%, which that's like LeBron and a few other guys on this list level efficiency. It's incredible. Yeah, he's really good. Great as a passer. I think he's underrated as a defender at this point, just because Phoenix asks him to do so much that it makes him look like a little bit worse than he really is. If he was on a normal team with a normal center and like normal rotation players, and he could just like fill in like LeBron defensively for spurts and they could be okay, I think that would be like, you would really see some crazy conversations about like, when KD tries on defense, he looks so crazy.
Yeah, when you have that level of fluidity and the wingspan, it's just a problem on defense still. But again, if people wanted to take Tatum obviously superior defender. But yeah, Kevin Durant is just historically efficient jump shooting monster. As he's gotten worse attacking the rim, it doesn't seem to matter.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kevin Durant is good.
I would say also, just the question with like Durant at this point was like, will that burst? Does a game that gravitates more towards difficult twos, is that going to like generate as much good team offense as like or Tatum just like getting to the rim whenever he wants, even if he's not finishing it, as opposed to Durant being like nuclear on long twos and like mid volume 3? I don't really have the answer to that, but it definitely felt like that's just the other thing I wrote down here was Durant in the Wolves series. He was bothered. He was bothered a lot. Like, it was not a comfortable series for him. And Tatum didn't really have to see that kind of defense in this postseason. I think he probably would have struggled against Minnesota as well. I just don't know, like, to the same extent or to what extent it would have been. So that played a part in my like ranking of the two as well.
All right, and that was the trailer for this week's Patreon episode of the State of the League podcast. You can go to patreon.com/State of the League to find this episode, plus every other one we've ever put up on there. Join a Discord and get access to a bunch of different fun perks, as well as supporting me, Jack, Jokic Joe Star, as well as Pablo Escobar financially. So thank you very much. Go check that out, please, and thank you.